Exfiltrate documents in seconds with the USB Rubber Ducky, this time on Hak5.
Hello, and welcome to Hak5. My name is Darren Kitchen.
My name is Shayna Morse.
It's your weekly dose of Technolust.
Welcome, everybody.
Yay!
I'm wearing my Powerful Women t-shirt.
Those are some powerful women.
Powerful women.
Love them.
All week, man.
Yes.
All week with the Powerful
There we
Women.
go. Feeling it.
We are recording this the day after the US elections.
I'll see you in the comments.
Today we're talking all about the USB Rubber Ducky. So this is an excellent tool for quickly and silently exfiltrating documents. Did you know that you can actually exfiltrate documents?
You know what I like to call that?
Rubber Ducky? What is that?
Performing an involuntary backup.
Oh my gosh, that's
Right?
screwed up. Involuntary backup.
Hey, two is one is none.
One is none. It's true. So we're going to be breaking up this episode into the three biggest challenges of doing this kind of exfiltration technique. So first off, you have silently executing a script off of the USB drive, and then you have exfiltrating targeted documents off of the target computer. And then number 3 is combining the USB Rubber Ducky's HID attack with mass storage. So we're not only using it as like a human interface keyboard, but we're also using it for mass storage. Oh,
Yes, and then we're going to wrap it up.
It's an actual thing.
We're going to wrap it up with a nice Ducky script.
Yeah.
So at the end of this, what you're going to have is a drive that you can just plug into a box and have it copy all the files over, which will be fantastic.
Today we are looking at part 1 of this because it is quite long. So in part 1, we're going to be executing scripts off the USB drives automatically. So we will begin by taking on the biggest challenge on Windows, which is, surprise, surprise, it's kind of weird, but you need to figure out what the letter is of the USB drive. Because with different Windows devices, you get different drive letters.
See, this is where, like, if you remember the 90s, I'm old. I'm not old. I'm old in internet years because I've been around since BBSs. But the CD-ROMs with your printer drivers used to have on them, they would be written on them, it would say, click start, click run, and type d:/setup.exe, and then it would say where D is the letter of your drive. Right?
And then that's where all the consumers are like, what does that mean?
What's the drive letter of my cup holder? Right?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and so I can't believe that here it is like 2 decades later and we're still dealing with this.
That's surprising. I can't believe it's been around for so long.
Well, I guess actually, you know what? It's not that much better in Linux, you know? /dev/SDA, SDB. Oh man, with some of these like MMC block devices, it gets ridiculous.
So we can currently do this through the command prompt, correct?
We can. Let me show you the technique that I had previously used to make all of this work. And I'm gonna, there's a lot of like PowerShell and snippets and stuff in this one, Shannon. So I'm using a little cheat sheet document here to make it a little easier. But let me open up a command prompt.
Okay.
And let's take a look at this. Actually, let me increase the font size here so that we'll be able to actually see this on the show pretty well. All right, if I execute this right here, what we're doing is
wow,
we're doing.
You type so fast.
Thanks. It's called paste. We do a for loop that is going to put into this this variable right here, D. Right. So this for loop will put in D whatever it gets out of this command. Now, what this command does is it uses WMIC, which is a utility that allows us to specify, hey, volume get drive letter. As you might imagine, that right there, if I were to copy it, and let me come back here to the very beginning and put a pound symbol in there so it doesn't actually run it. Let me just run that WMIC get drive letter. So this just enumerates my whole drive and says, hey, you've got a C, D, and an E drive. And if I go to my computer, you'll see
those C, D, and E drives.
C, D, and E drive.
Okay.
Now my E drive right here is actually my USB thumb drive, if you will, and it has been labeled DK. By the way, quickest way to label something in Windows, you can select a drive letter, hit F2, and you can just type in Ducky. Or I like to keep everything as short as possible, so I'm going to call it DK. Not for Darren Kitchen, but for Duck.
Couldn't you just call it D?
I could, but I don't want to.
But then wouldn't it be kind of
save one more character? Yeah, it would be a little confusing. I don't want to break anything, so I want to make it a little bit more. Yeah.
I understand that.
Finesse. This is all going to be about finesse and making everything as short as possible.
Okay.
So in order to keep this segment as short as possible, let me power through this. Basically, what's going to happen is you see this WMIC get volume drive ladder. Well, if we do a comma label, it'll say, hey, E is DK. So that's fantastic. I can now find systematically that the drive that I want, I'm interested in this drive right here, the DK drive. That's my USB thumb drive. You see it's an 8 gig USB drive. And that's going to let me exfiltrate my documents to that. Fantastic. Okay. Well, what this does is it says, hey, run this and pipe the output of that to find string. So find string is kind of like grep in Linux, and it's looking for DK. So what it's going to do is it's going to now assign this variable %d as
DK, right? Or E?
As E.
Yeah.
So it's going to assign E to that. So what's going to happen if I go ahead and do that, what it will do is set DK to whatever that was.
Okay.
So I'm actually creating a new variable here called DK. Don't confuse it with the volume letter DK. I can actually, just to make it less confusing, let me actually replace this with my drive. Okay.
Is this PowerShell?
No, this is the old way to do it. So it's not PowerShell. This is just DOS.
It looks horrible.
I know it does. Well, okay, so I've gone ahead and run that.
I like Linux commands.
I know.
Way more.
Myself as well. If only we could get Bash on Windows. Wouldn't that be a weird world we would live in?
Speaking of which.
Oh, we do live in a weird world.
I know.
We are getting Bash. What is wrong with the world? Anyway, back to DOS. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're setting my drive to equal whatever we got from that. So if I echo %my drive, %, because that's how you do variables.
So you E.
It's going to do E, which means if I say dir that,
it'll give you whatever's in E.
Right, and I see I have a d.cmd there. So if I wanted to systematically run that d.cmd, which is my payload, I would do this \d.cmd. Now I'm not going to do that because I want to talk about making this into a one-liner.
Ooh.
You might imagine that's really important because
always.
Whenever you're like on a USB Rubber Ducky making a payload that does a lot of things that change GUI elements.
Yeah.
Every time the GUI changes.
Then you're going to run into some troubles, like maybe they have administrator privileges, maybe they don't. You have to hit yes and no. Maybe the user will do something on the keyboard.
Yeah. Or maybe Windows will pop up and take longer or less long than you're expecting.
Depending on the hardware in the computer too.
Yeah. The best kind of payloads are these little Windows run dialog one-liners. So let me show you. So if, for instance, I hit Windows key R, I always get this. If I wanted to, I could do cmd tac k tree c:\\, right? That's a one-liner. And it's just running whatever I told it to do. And there we go, right?
Look, you're hacking.
Yay, I'm hacking, right? I ran the tree command. I'm so elite. Well, here is a way to do this, now putting this into PowerShell so that I can run that as a one-liner, right? So I could just paste that in and I'd be off to the races. So let's take a look at what this entails. Basically, what we've done is PowerShell with these parameters here, and then we're going to start a process. We're going to start CMD. We're going to pass it these parameters, which is going to go ahead and, for the moment, keep the command prompt. And it's going to run all of that. Well, here's something interesting. I have to pass this to PowerShell within these quotes. So this quote right here at the very beginning, and this quote here at the end. So that means that everything inside of it, well, if it has quotes, needs to be escaped, which is why, unlike the previous example, I have actually 2 single quotes there.
That looks awkward.
I know. It actually, depending on your font, it may look like a double quote, which is really confusing.
Yeah.
But 2 single quotes in PowerShell will be escaped and allow me to pass that within the actual
That's so weird.
double quotes.
Okay.
What this is going to mean is that I can now pass this as a one-liner. So let's take a look at what that will look like.
Okay.
All right, so it's the same thing, except I'm using PowerShell to start the process CMD for me so that I don't have to type CMD, hit enter, and then do it.
So basically, normally that would be like 2 or more different commands that you'd have to run, but since you put those things in quotes, it all ends up being a single line.
Yeah, it ends up being the one-liner I want. And you can even see I have it's separated out. After I specify DK, after I create that variable DK as my actual drive letter, then this ampersand here, it's not pretty. If I put spaces, it might be a little prettier. But after I do that, I specify dk \d.cmd. So that's going to go ahead and run my payload. So I'll go ahead and hit OK on this command. Ooh. And you'll notice that, hey, wait a second, it didn't work. I'm ended up with a command prompt here. By the way, the command prompt stays because we executed that start process, CMD. We specified /k for keep. If we wanted it to close, we would do a /c. But since we're just developing our payload right now, right? Notice I haven't even broken out the USB Rubber Ducky or started writing Ducky code. I want to test it first, make sure it works. So I want to keep that command prompt. And see what that error might have been. Well, what's that error? It says the specified path, we can't find that path. And you're like, wait, what? What do you mean? It executed correctly when we did it manually in DOS. Why not? Echo that variable, and hey, look, why didn't it work?
So it found E.
It found E. So why here, when we specify, when we do this WMIC thing, and
Does it have to do with your quotes?
Nah, you know what? Kind of, yes. Actually, in a way it is because of the quotes. But what it is the variable DK doesn't get expanded.
Oh.
So what it does is it just tried to run literally %DK %\d.cmd. What?
PowerShell.
I know. That is so frustrating.
Okay, so how do you fix it?
Well, basically, we're going to have to take a totally different approach. Right? Because since it's not actually expanding the variable, that means that I basically, beat my head against the wall for like quite a while trying to get this OneLiner to work, and then figured out that it wouldn't expand. So you know what? Here's a method that does work, which is why I'm doing this show. I'm going to come down here to my next example, and that is right here. This is it. This section right here that we can actually pass in a quotation marks in PowerShell in a OneLiner. That's way different
than the last one.
Right. We're actually using, we're creating a new variable called $up, right? And we're going to go ahead and use the getWMI object and check out the Win32 volume, and then we're looking for a label that is equal to, in our case, DK, whatever you want to name your drive letter. So it's going to store. So it's
going to select that name.
Yep, and it's going to store, in this case, this is going to store E: into $UP, right? After that, then we are going to CD. We're actually changing the directory to $UP in this case.
So that would be E:\DK?
Yeah, so it would be the same here as doing CD E:.
Nice.
Or sorry, well, in PowerShell it does that. It gets you there. We're not in PowerShell, we're in CMD right now. So that's,
I get it.
Right, and then the last bit is, and I like PowerShell how it's a little bit like Bash. We have to do a // saying in this directory, run d.cmd.
Oh yeah, that's just like running a .sh, script.
Exactly.
Cool.
So before we move on to what that d.cmd actually is, let's make this OneLiner a little bit better, because you know what? It's going to be left in our history, which we don't want anybody.
Yeah, you don't want that to happen.
No.
Gotta obfuscate.
You know why? And actually, this is a true story. This happened a couple of days ago. I got a phone call, and it was like early in the morning, and I'm like, hello? And dude is like, there's a problem with your computer.
What?
No, this happened. So I'm like, I'm on the phone with a guy, and I'm like, really? Like, what do you mean? He's like, we're from Microsoft, and we noticed there's something.
You got one of those.
Yes!
Oh my gosh,
so,
you got a Microsoft phishing call.
Right? So of course I'm like, oh no, the computer. And he's like, yes, your firewall internet is exposing your IP address, and it may be causing the BLT drive to go AWOL. And I'm like, that sounds terrible. And so it took forever to get them to walk me through what they wanted me to do. They took me into an event viewer to see all these errors.
Seriously?
And convince me that I had a problem.
You're just now telling me about this?
I know, right?
This is amazing.
This is so great. So as I'm on the phone with a guy, I'm spinning up my virtual machine that I use in pentest with Hak5, because I've got this on my Linux box. I have I wasn't going to give him access to my real machine,
Right,
obviously,
of
my
course.
real Windows box. So I'm spinning up this virtual machine on my Linux box, and I'm giving him access to that. Because what he had me do was go to like support.me or something like that, some
Right.
sort of Citrix-y remote desktop session.
Right, yeah.
So like I'm on the line with him playing stupid. I'm recording the entire session with
my gosh.
Kazam,
So
which is a
good.
screen recorder for Linux that I highly recommend. And then he's like looking around, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh good, he's about to hack me. I can't wait to start reversing the malware.
Yeah.
He clicks start, hits run, and you know what was left in the
Oh no.
invoke Mimikatz
Oh,
payload that we did a
dang.
couple weeks ago.
And he knew at that instance.
He
was just like,
He's like, dang it. He's like, there's a hacker
just
on that.
leading me on.
And he hung up.
Man,
I know.
that stinks, man.
I know. I didn't get hacked.
That would have been awesome.
I was so looking forward to getting hacked, guys. You have no idea.
Oh, that's so good.
I
I have not gotten one of those phone calls yet.
Well, when you do, spin up a virtual machine,
Yeah,
screen record
totally.
the thing, record
Totally.
the call if you can. It should
oh
be
my
good
gosh,
stuff.
I'll get on my Windows machine.
Because then we can
start
freeze
up a
that
Windows
machine and then start like watching the traffic and do some analysis. Sorry, we're like a little off the rails here, but this is why
That'd be
you
so
need
much
to clear your run history. If I take a look here and hit Windows key R, look at that. I got a bunch of PowerShell in there. If you're like an L user, you're going to be scared to death. It's
course.
It's like seeing that and being like, oh no, hacks, right?
Hacks.
So what we're going to do is come down here to this little snippet that I love, and using the remove item property.
For a second, I thought that said remove item party, and I was like, don't remove the party.
No, not the party. Well, which party? Again, it's November 9th. So we can, using this right here, we can go ahead and remove an item from our Windows registry. In this case, it's HK, current user, software, Microsoft, yada, yada, yada. This right here is where all of these are stored. So if I hit the drop down, I can see all of those.
Oh, I see what you're
Right?
doing.
So it's nice. I can actually pop this thing into a bit of PowerShell and go ahead and use it to remove my things. So what I'd like to do is actually marry these two bits together so that if I add this to the beginning, and here's what it's going to look like. This is now our PowerShell.
Oh, it's starting to look long, dude.
It is, right? So as you might imagine, this is what we had done before, where we're creating that UP variable with the drive letter, whatever's DK, and we're moving to it and running our CMD. But before that, and I love that we can actually do this before, it doesn't matter, we're going to go ahead and remove that thing, and we do tac name is star, so it's going to get rid of everything, and then
Hey,
tac
wildcard.
error action, silently continue.
Cool.
Here's the only problem with this.
Is it
Unfortunately,
too long?
yeah.
Really?
It's 275 characters, and the run line maxes out at 260. We are 15 characters over.
Well, that's okay. Just put it on YouTube anyway. Somebody will fix it for you.
That's right. That's why, no. Yes,
Everybody
actually.
always know. There's at least one viewer out there who will be like, I can make this shorter.
I heard something about like you don't search, if you like searching for something on the internet, put out like, if you ask like, hey, what is XYZ? Nobody's going to answer you. But if you say XYZ is blah, blah,
I know
blah,
all the things.
right? And then
somebody
you'll
will
get
be like,
corrected.
Well, actually,
So actually, maybe
that's a great point.
maybe this PowerShell will get better through this segment. And it will in a moment, because here's the thing. We can fix this in one of two ways.
Right.
First thing that we could do is kind of obvious. We could actually get rid of that dash error action silently continue. That's the part, that argument that says, hey, if you run into any problems deleting this Windows registry value, just keep going. I kind of prefer that silently continue thing. So I want to keep that. It could cause some problems if we don't, especially if we do run into an error. So how are we going to make it any shorter? Well, this is awesome.
Magic?
Aliases.
Oh, I love aliases.
You should be quite familiar with aliases,
Aliases
Shannon.
are awesome.
It's
I
not
use
just
one
a
on my
TV
other
show from the
computer.
90s.
No, I have one on my other computer because my wireless card always fails for some reason. So it's just called Internets, and it restarts the card anytime I boot up my machine.
Nice.
I just go Internets, and it runs. I'm like, yay, aliases! Aliases are the best thing ever. If you haven't seen my hack tip on aliases, you need to watch it. It's very cool.
Yeah, she's really excited about
I
aliases.
love aliases.
Well, thankfully, PowerShell has an alias for remove item property, which is literally just RP.
Oh.
Yeah, right?
That makes sense.
So what was previously 19 characters is now 2, which if we apply that to our script, will bring it down from 275 characters to 257. Oh, just less than 260.
So proud of you.
I know, I'm proud of me too, because it's an awesome, here it is. Booyah! That right there is it.
Awesome.
It's the 257 characters, which will silently run whatever you want off of your drive. And I'm super excited to show this to you
So
because
is this your final command right here?
well, it's the final command of the first step of the process of building this exfiltration payload, which is obviously to test first on our target machine. And then we can have it run d.cmd.
So, I have a question.
Yes.
What does d.cmd do?
Right, okay, so let's take a look at d.cmd.
Way to bury the lead.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, actually, I'm going to go ahead and just run this. I'm going to go ahead and paste this in and just run it, and you'll see bloop, and it's going to say, oh, slurp.bat isn't there because I renamed this right before we started the thingy, and so let's take a look at that. I'm on the E drive, and let me notepad, let me open it with Sublime because I'm leet. Subble d.cmd. What? Oh, erg. Subble is not in my path.
This is what happens when we switch to Windows.
It's like Subble, yay. I don't know why I just thought I could, on my Linux box, you know what, Notepad. I can't type anymore. D.cmd, right? Actually, why I got that error was because that should be cmd instead of bat. So let me run that again. Oh, notice there's nothing in my run line because when I ran it, it got rid of everything. Let me also open up Explorer and take a look at my E drive. And you'll see I have a slurp directory and it is currently empty, right? Now let me run that PowerShell again, that little OneLiner that I have mistakenly cleared from my clipboard. There we go.
Oh.
Boop. Wait, what happened? It just like popped up and then it was gone.
Fast.
Yeah, and now I've got to, oh, hey, look, there's a thing.
There's a desktop.
Oh, look, and there's all my text files, right? We'll get back to that in a bit. But let's go ahead and again.
I know what you're doing.
Yeah, so you'll notice nothing popped up, and that was because this d.cmd is a stager, if you will, and it quite simply runs our slurp.bat, or I guess now slurp.cmd payload, and it uses start, which is one of my favorite commands. And you specify /min to go ahead and open it minimized.
That's cool.
Yes.
Yay, obfuscation.
Yeah, which means when we put this all together, we basically have a command which will silently execute a payload off of a USB drive and simultaneously clear a run line in just one simple 257 characters, which is awesome because we can build on this, which means that next week we can take on the next challenge, which is targeted exfiltration of our documents, and then we can couple that with the USB Rubber Ducky both hid and mass storage attack, and then wrap it all up in one nice Ducky script payload for everybody to enjoy. And I'm doing it this way because I am just now starting to really get into PowerShell, which means
I've noticed.
Which means that now that I've put this 257 characters into the universe, as it were, you can find the show notes at hak5.org and find the article on how to do exactly this. I would love to hear your comments on ways to make this even faster, which means just reducing the amount of characters. Because 257 is great, but what if we could get it to a tweet?
Ooh.
Dangerous tweets.
Oh, snap.
So let me know in the comments below. And with that, we're going to take a quick break. Do you have brilliant ideas for phone tethering pineapple apps of your own? Well, you should bring them to the interwebs, and the best place to do that is over at Domain.com, because that's where you can get yourself a nice domain name. And you know what? It's where Shannon and I go whenever we have brilliant ideas. And it's because they have this awesome domain discovery system that makes it super simple to find the perfect domain name just for you. And then their checkout process, which is super streamlined and easy, means your website's going to be up and online in no time flat. And best of all, Domain.com, huge fans of Hak5, huge fans of yours, so they have a coupon code just for you. It spells Hak5, it's HAK5, and it saves you 20% at checkout at Domain.com. How awesome is that? These guys have been supporting Hak5 for years and years, and we love them. So you know what, even if you're not getting a domain name today, you should tweet them at Domain.com and say, dude, you guys are awesome for supporting Hak5, and next time you need a domain name, think Domain.com.
We are back, and it is now time for the Technolust photo of the week. Every single week, we are asking you guys and gals, what is your Technolust? What is tickling your Technolust? And we want to see your pictures, so you can hashtag Hak5, that spells Hak5, which is the name of this show, which I really hope that you guys know if you're watching the show. Hashtag Hak5. Send us your pictures over on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, and we will send a different prize out every single week. This week, since we're talking about the USB Rubber Ducky, we're going to send a USB Rubber Ducky to the winner. And we decided this week's winner is at Techman1233. This is cool.
Oh, nice.
If you've seen some of my own previous segments, I love messing with Arduinos, so I really like this hack. So this is a pumpkin with an Arduino and moving eyes. So he must have used a couple of servos to get the eyes moving. Yeah, nice. There's the servo right there. And then he's got some LEDs built up at top, and it looks like he's just got a breadboard sitting up there. So he's got the LEDs lighting up the interior of the pumpkin. I love it. I think that's so cool. Any Arduino hacks are okay with me. So we're going to send you a USB Rubber Ducky. I'll get in contact with you over Twitter, and everybody else, send your pictures in. We love seeing all the different hacks, and we hope that our show, as well as other podcasts, inspire you to do amazing things like this.
Yes. Hey, you know what else? We love it when you guys make our set even better. And I believe we have something for that, do we not?
We do! We have two different letters. They're both from Komei.
All right, Komei. Oh yeah, awesome.
He comes to our open warehouse parties.
Yes, indeed.
Which we haven't done one in a while, but
we need to have another.
We do need to have another.
Oh, cool, Theta stickers. We did a segment on the Theta a couple weeks ago, months ago, time flies, about taking 360 videography and photos and stuff. It's an awesome camera. I'm using it. I love it.
Very cool.
And thank you. We'll pop one on the set. What else did we get?
Komei also sent me a letter, and he said, you made it to Japan. I did, finally, and it was amazing. You witnessed the trains. They're supposed to be electric, fast, and frequent, which is completely different from what we have over here. But he got to go to the BART Fleet of the Future unveiling event. So our local Bay Area Transit is called BART, B-A-R-T, Bay Area Rapid Transit. And they've been needing to upgrade it for a very long time. So he got a chance to see the new cars that they're going to be building in this area, which are hopefully going to be upgraded.
Hey, that is really cool.
Very cool, yeah.
Nice.
So, totally love it. Like seeing support for public transit. It helps with the climate and everything. So I love seeing that. Thank you so much, Komei. Love it.
Komei also says, I know you're a big fan of the Ricoh Theta and virtual reality in general. So am I. And attached are stickers from my favorite meetup, the Silicon Valley Virtual Reality, and the limited edition Theta stickers. Hope you like them. Awesome. Thank you so much. This is a cool meetup, the Silicon Valley Virtual Reality. That's gonna.
Very cool.
I love that we're living in a world where virtual reality isn't a joke. It's not like some
seriously.
Flying cars, and I'm biting my tongue. And so we're living in an interesting age, and I will leave it at that.
If you guys are interested, you can send over your stickers too. We love supporting different hacker events and different charities and conventions, and even your local hacker spaces too. So yeah, send over your stickers. Hak5.org/address is where you can send those, and they will come directly to us. We would love to see what you guys are doing day to day in your own spaces.
Yes. Also, if you want to support the show directly, you can go over to hakshop.com. That's where we're going to have all sorts of goodies. You can find the USB Rubber Ducky if you want to follow along with what we're doing here in this series, as well as the Wi-Fi Pineapple, the Land Turtle. You get the Tetra, the Nano, the Field Kits, all the good stuff, and it supports making Hak5 just for you, and I really appreciate everybody continuing to let us live the dream and do this. We are honored.
And thanks to everybody who's been watching ThreatWire recently. Really appreciate it, because that show's completely funded on our Patreon account, patreon.com/ThreatWire. So thank you so much for everybody watching that. It really inspires me to keep on finding out about the security and privacy news. So thank you so much.
Yay! Awesome stuff. You can find all of our shows over at hak5.org. That's where you'll also find the show notes for this here. If you're watching on YouTube, might have some snippets in the description, but you'll want to go over to hak5.org and dive in. There's a wealth of knowledge there for you. That's also where you'll find our social media links. We hope to see you on the Twitters and the YouTubes and the Facebooks and the Insta Snapchats and everything else. Insta Snaps. With that, I'm Darren Kitchen.
I'm Shannon Morse.
Trust your Technolust.
Hey, Nicolette. Hey, I could just keep on going about aliases. Aliases. Aliases are fun. Alias cat. Alias kitties. Alias. Alias Chewbacca.
Is that how you say trust your technologist in Japanese?
No.
How do you say trust your technologist in Japanese?
Trust your technolas.